Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Just checking the chat. Hey, guys. Thank you for coming in early. Thank you to our regulars. GeoCat, hello. Drawing with Keeks, Hunter, Molly Keith. Glad you could join us today. Let me know how I sound. The music's too loud. Let me know. Welcome in, everybody. Doge, hello, hello. Derpy Doxy, you made yourself some cookies. Oh, can I have some? Cookies sound great. I actually skipped lunch today, so I'm a little hungry, but you know, that's okay. I'm looking forward to having a big family dinner after the stream. Hello, everybody. Sounds great. Okay, great. Wow, I am glad you guys all made it. Here I am. And we are actually going to be doing some animal studies and drawing a tiger. So I do have my tiger reference up there. The tiger won the poll, and I'm not surprised, but I haven't drawn a tiger since like I was 13, so it's gonna be fun to draw a tiger. But before we get started, just want to let everybody know, if you've heard this before, if you didn't know, we're not just a YouTube channel. Our growing community is filled with tons of art nerds, and we art nerds have to stick together. So if you're an art nerd too, please check out the links in our social media below. Definitely join our Discord. That's where everything happens. And you can find us on Instagram as well. We're on almost all the socials except Twitter. Yeah, you can also make sure that you check out our website for our class offerings. So we are an art school, and if you go to wingcanvas.com, you can see everything else that we do aside from our YouTube channel. And if you'd like to support us so we can keep making free content, please join our Patreon and become a member. And for as little as $2 a month, you can get access to tons of perks like my working files and, well, not my working files. Usually the working files are digital, but you can get the working files from our other instructors. And you can get critiques from me. You can get emotes and sub badges if you're a YouTube member, and you can get class recordings and critiques and members only chat, and a huge discount on our classes, which have a limited amount of spots. So be sure to check those out before they're gone. All right, couple of things before we get started. We do have a new challenge this month, and definitely check that out. Today is March 2nd, so the challenge just begun. So it's not only Women's Month, it's Women's History Month in the US. It's actually Women's History Month in October in Canada, but this month we're celebrating women as well as endangered animals, because, you know, they are disappearing really quickly. So if you want to enter the challenge, just submit any artwork that you have or that you will make this month to our Discord, and we will select some and feature them on stream. So because this challenge has only been going on for one day, I'm going to let Iggy select his picks for tomorrow. So join his stream tomorrow at 3 p.m. and you can see who is featured. But I thought I would share a couple of my own pieces. Obviously, I can't submit. I'm not eligible. But I would like to show a couple of my pieces. Hopefully they will sort of inspire you, and just to see, like, I am a big fan of drawing animals. So this one here is a piece that I did in my Drawing Foundations 2 class. It's a realistic drawing class, and a lot of my students ask me about cross-hatching. And so this was a piece inspired by the theme endangered. And the rhino was actually one of the picks in the poll, and it got like no votes, not many votes, too bad. And there's another one I wanted to show you, which is the orangutan. So next week, Jesse will be streaming, but the week after, I will be doing a acrylic painting demo, and I'll be painting an endangered animal. So, and I'll be doing a little bit of collage. So this is actually done with acrylic as well as collage, and I think a little bit of oil. So a lot of mixed media stuff here. Thank you, thank you. You want to get into a class this summer? Yeah, absolutely. You know, if you become a Patreon member, you can actually save 10% on art classes in certain tiers. So it's a really good deal. Thank you so much. Thank you. I do have a few more paintings in the series that I will be working on, but these are just a few. I'll show some more next week, and be sure to tune in to Iggy's stream tomorrow to see some of the featured challenge submissions. Okay, so you can see that I have some timed references up here. So first, we will be drawing some timed poses. And the drawing site that I like to use is called reference.sketchdaily.com. I'm just going to type it in the chat here, .net. Reference.sketchdaily.net. So that's a site that I use all the time in my classes. And it's really, really handy if you're practicing timed poses. So there's actually like different human poses. You know, you can choose between nude, you can choose between costumed nude, you can choose different body parts like hands, feet, and also animals, which is really, really helpful. So that's the site that I'm using, and we're going to start with some 2-minute poses. So GeoCat says, already am on Patreon. Awesome. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you, Derpy Doxy. Great. All right. So if you guys want to grab your sketchbook or your drawing tablet to follow along, I will be drawing with chalk. So you can see, you know, I've got my chalk ready, chalk pastel. Let me know in the chat, does anybody here draw with chalk, or anybody ever tried drawing with chalk? Let me know. If not, I highly recommend it because it's one of my favorite mediums. You can draw really, really quickly with chalk. It does get a little bit messy, but definitely a great medium for timed practice, both for life drawing practice as well as just like any kind of drawing from timed references. So just give me 1 second while I pop up the reference so that I can see it as well. All right, so we're gonna get ready for 2-minute poses. And got all sorts of animals here. They are totally random. Totally random. So, you know, we're gonna get fish, we're gonna get bugs, we're gonna get mammals, and I'm just gonna wait till this one times out. So we'll start in about a minute. Let me know if you have any questions about the medium, or let me know what you will be drawing with today. Anybody draw with chalk? I guess most of you draw digitally, and you know, I need to practice more digital sketching as well, but I'm kind of the traditional streamer on the channel, so hopefully going to represent some more, you know, traditional mediums. So before we get started, I might throw in some colored pencil or markers. That's great. Nice. Okay. So usually, like, we're gonna start with 2-minute poses. I feel like 2 minutes is really good. because it's just enough time to kind of get your gestures and shapes in and all that stuff. So I will be using the GSL method to do these studies and try to draw in different colors. So this guy looks like an otter, right? So I think it's an otter, a little critter. Usually for these animals, I tend to just start with shapes. And any four-legged creature, if you just kind of draw in the, you know, the shape of the head and the shape of the torso and pelvis, usually they're like circles, and connect them together. It's pretty easy to do. This guy's a little bit grumpy looking, isn't he? He's cute though. Does he have ears? Yeah, he's got like little tiny ears on the side here. There we go, and he's got a bunch of whiskers. So in 2 minutes, you know, it's really not a lot of time. So what you really want to put in is context and shapes, and just kind of make sure you capture the essence of the little critter. What I really like about chalk pastel is just how quickly you're able to shade with it. And these are just warm-ups for the long pose later on. All right. So I told myself I would like try drawing in different colors just for funsies. So this bird looks like he's kind of taken off. So just kind of drawing in the sweep of the gesture here. I'm using these like really tiny pieces of chalk. They're like probably about ½ an inch or so. So my hands get really messy, but it's worth it. And in terms of these wings, they're kind of in movement, so they're very blurry. So I'm probably just gonna put in a rough shape here and then suggest some of the feathers. So I'm using this technique where, you know, you're kind of drawing in the overall shape first in like a silhouette, and then adding any lines that you want on top for detail. So if you've ever seen any of my figure drawing tutorials, you probably have seen me draw like this before. So with these, just usually focusing on silhouette. These rodents, I forget the name of these guys, but they're like, I think they're the largest rodents. I saw like a Discovery Channel special on them. Let me know in the chat if you know what they're called. I do know, but it's totally escaping me. A capybara. Nice. Thank you, Joe. Thank you for all the help from our lovely mods. There we go. So You know, if you're drawing it with pencil or with marker, sometimes with marker you can also shade pretty quickly. But I find with chalk, I can just kind of use the side of the chalk and really shade really, really fast. And I love that. I still haven't found a digital brush that can match what I can do with a piece of half-inch chalk. But maybe soon. We're trying out this new software called Rebel. I don't know if anyone's heard of it, but it's kind of like it's like a painting digital art software that can mimic really, really nice surfaces. There's a chalk brush in Procreate. I would love to try Procreate. I'm not an iPad user anymore. I was, but I do hear lots of good things about Procreate. So, can you actually like switch the orientation of it though? You know, because with the chalk you can do so much with it. You can actually you can have very, very thin lines, very thick lines, you know. You can use the side, you can use the front, you can use the tip, like there's just so much you can do with it. All right, so this wolf. Wolves are always like, wolves and dogs, because we see them so often, if you don't get the proportions right, it's super obvious, right? So I think the trick to getting good proportions is just really focusing on silhouette, your positive and negative shapes, you know, like making sure that all the paws line up and things like that. And sometimes, you know, you can change the gesture of the tail and such if you don't like what you see. You can always kind of make up a story, give it some more personality. All right. Yeah, these are just warm-ups. These are 2-minute timed poses of animals. And it's definitely an essential practice if you want to, you know, get into art school or animation school. They really want to see you practice from live animals and live models. So this isn't really live, but this is good practice. You know, if you can't get to a zoo to draw, if you don't live close to a zoo or where you can access life drawing, then, you know, this is kind of the next best thing. And they actually do have online life drawing now, which is pretty cool. I think the pandemic definitely opened up a lot of new innovative ways of learning. At our physical studio, we used to have life drawing every week, and I would coordinate the life drawing models, and we used to have, you know, costumed and cosplay and nude sessions, and so I got a lot of practice. So if you can make like an hour or so to practice your life drawing, you know, every week or so, then you'll improve really, really quickly. It's like eventually you stop thinking, you know, you just kind of draw, and that's where you want to be. So So if I finish early, I'm just gonna check the chat. Yeah, you know, practice is really essential, and you don't have to draw every day. Sorry, this crow is very hard to see, isn't he? He's like, it's black on black. Um, let me just put some paper behind it so you can see it. There we go. So since it's a crow, I guess I will use black. Yeah, life drawing it's so much fun, you know. It's like it's almost like meditation because you're not really thinking. It's just like, you know, your hand and your eyes are in sync. It kind of, at some point, it starts to bypass your brain a little bit, which is where you want to be. And when you learn anything, like even with sports or if you play an instrument, you know, in the beginning you're sort of learning the technique and trying to think about everything to try to not make a mistake or to do it properly. But then when you get enough practice, you kind of just do it without thinking, right? Or you focus on one thing at a time, and that is always more effective because sometimes your brain gets in the way, especially if you have an eraser, you know, and your brain's telling you like, Faye, this drawing's terrible. It looks terrible. You have to start over. You have to erase it now. And then that's when you really kind of get in trouble because you listen to your brain and freak out and are like, oh no, it looks terrible. So, not thinking sometimes is really good. What is this thing? That is a really weird creature. Gave your crow a dad bod. It's okay. Mine didn't turn out great either. It's okay. It's okay. This is just practice. I have no idea what this creature is. It kind of looks like a big cat, but it also looks like it's got like a rat tail. It's so weird looking. Anybody here know what this thing actually is? Never seen it before. Okay. And then it's kind of got like, almost like a, oh yeah, it is a big cat. It's a big cat. Got like a head that's kind of shaped like a rodent though. Weird. It's a fusa. Fusa. Cool. All right, let's keep going. This guy is so majestic looking. What a cool looking bird. Wow. It looks like it's wearing the German flag on its beak. Super, super cool looking animal. I'm like standing up for this because it's kind of hard for me to see my screen because my setup is really far from where I'm actually drawing. Really like the long legs. I'd love to see, if you're drawing along with me, we would love to see your drawings. So definitely share it on Instagram and tag us at Wing Canvas. I think I'm going to do a few, studies, a few pages of studies, and then move on to the final drawing. Give myself like an hour or so for the final. Oh, sorry about the ads, guys. We'll have to look into the settings. I think that's something that YouTube is automatically doing now. I think it's a new thing. If our lovely mods can go into the stream and see if you can turn those off, that'd be awesome. All right. Oh, here we got another bird, but this is just the head of the bird. I don't know if we can actually, I hope we can turn off the ads. Thanks for your feedback, guys. All right, there we go. Well, this one was easier. Couldn't really see the body. That bird looks startled out of its mind. Yeah, I don't know if they actually have, like, do birds blink? They must. They must, because they close their eyes. They just, their whole eye is exposed. All right. So, do you guys want to see longer poses, or do you like the 2 minute? How are you guys doing? If you're drawing along with me, are they too fast? You're super happy with that one? Awesome. Longer? Okay. Okay, so maybe after this page we'll do a few 5-minute ones. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Fuzzy llama. I think this is a llama. 2 minute is good. Yeah, 2 minute, I find that sometimes my 2 minute drawings are better than my 5 minute. It's just, it's funny because, with 2 minutes, your mind is like, okay, I only have 2 minutes, so I gotta boogie, like I gotta draw fast. Whereas with 5 minutes, you're kind of like, okay, I have 5 minutes, I'm gonna take my time. And then the drawings just tend to look a little bit less lively. I think 2 minutes is probably the best amount of time for me personally. Like, I find my 2 minute drawings much better than my 5 minute for some reason. And this animal actually has really nice shading. So like really nice lighting coming from above there, and lots of texture. So I'm gonna try to put in some of that texture later. And right now, just kind of drawing in the legs. So if you are drawing in the legs, try to draw them together, and then look for the negative shapes in between. And you just maybe draw a line so that everything lines up. So I know like when you draw fuzzy creatures, everyone really, you know, tends to focus a lot on the texture, but usually the texture is better when you draw it at the end. It looks like a camel and a kangaroo had a baby. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it does kind of have a little bit of a hump on the back. 2 minutes is also ideal for me. Okay, great. So we'll stick with 2 minutes. These are supposed to be warm-ups anyway. All right, this guy, you can see this guy has a very obvious gesture, right? If you follow his spine. He's a weird critter. And I think out of all the colors, I like this brown color the best. It reminds me of those like master drawings from the Renaissance, you know, like Michelangelo drawings. It just has a nice classical look to it. So you can see, I think the most effective method is just to focus on the silhouette and just ignore all of those details for now. Sorry if the drawing was cut off. This paper is very, very big, and some of the images are a little bit wider. Does it tell you what you're drawing? No, it doesn't. You just have to guess. Like this one obviously is a weasel, I think, or a ferret. I can never tell them. I can never tell like the difference between a weasel and a ferret, or any of those types of animals. That one's a ferret. Okay. It's on a leash, so must be a ferret. Ferrets, yeah, I love ferrets. They're very cute. Very cute looking, but I can hear that they can be little rascals. I don't know if anybody's ever had a ferret as a pet or known anybody who had a ferret. I wonder if they make good pets. Like, I know you can train them and stuff, but I don't know. Like, I know some people have skunks as pets, and that is just it's like you have to you know, remove their stink glands. It just seems like a lot for the animal, like to have that as a pet. But I do hear that skunks make good pets. Its face looks a little bit like a red panda. They won't smell really bad if you clean them right. Really? Yeah. Slippery little fellas. Oh yeah, definitely. All right. Ooh, this guy is so majestic. What a great gesture, right? Sometimes you can find a letter in a gesture. So in this case, it's the letter V. Really obvious gesture. I've been teaching my toddler how to draw, and so we're doing letters and shapes, and he's doing okay. Like he's holding the pencil okay, you know. So I find myself referring to shapes and letters and numbers and just like trying to make drawings out of them because it's just easier to remember, right? So this one, for example, you can start with a letter V and then go from there, right? Draw the head and then got really big ears. The ears look like, they almost look like little spoons. Anyone know what this animal is called? I'm pretty sure they have them at the Toronto Zoo, but I'm really bad with my names. Some kind of antelope, yeah, definitely looks like some type of antelope. Okay. Oh, I ran out of time. Okay, well this last one is actually, these are totally random, but we will be drawing a tiger today, so it's pretty funny that this one came up last. It's kind of like the last thing to study before the final piece. Tigers are really hard, I think, to draw. Especially like their bodies, like their faces are pretty okay if you simplify them into shapes and everything, but they definitely take a long time. And I remember going to Cambodia once and going to like an animal sanctuary, and it was the closest I've ever been to a tiger. Like I was literally 2 feet away from this tiger that was in a cage, and I could have been right up against the fence, you know, but I was very, very scared. It's just a chain link fence, you know, and then these tigers with paws the size of my face. But it was quite an experience. And with all the loss of habitat that we're seeing these days, and all the, you know, the fire and all the fires, all the wildfires, the destruction, the deforestation, it's really sad that we might be the last of our generation to actually see these animals, you know, in real life. All right. Whew. My hands are tired. How is everyone doing here? I came back from dinner. That is a lot of animals. Yeah, I know. I know. There's a lot of animals. We basically did, these are 2 minutes, 2-minute warm-ups. So really, really good exercise if you want to warm up. We've been drawing, how many did we do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so we did 14 drawings of different animals and different studies. And pretty good, like 14 times 2, like that's less than half an hour, right? That's pretty decent. I mean, for warm-ups, like I feel really warmed up now. Just checking chat. It's always good to work your way smaller, not larger. True, thumbnail size. I drew a raccoon a while ago and was surprised at how much it looked like a red panda. You know what? They really do look alike. They really totally trash pandas. Yeah. Yep. I like that. I'm gonna call them trash pandas from now on. Tigers are so muscular. Watching them at the zoo is definitely a highlight for me. Yeah, they are. They're muscular, but they also have like kind of baggy skin. So like sometimes, you know, they can look really different depending on their pose. Derpy Doxy says, I think the animals I ended up with look nice. That's awesome. I'm so glad. I'm glad, you know, it's always nice to you know, if you drew 14, we drew 14 animals. So if you have like one or two that you're like, hey, these look pretty good, pretty decent, then that's good. That is a success. Great. Okay, guys. So we will start our our final piece. So let's see here. So I put up this poll, what was it, 2 days ago? And you know, I kind of knew the tiger was gonna win. I really wanted the mountain gorilla to win. Guys, I can't believe you didn't choose the gorilla with that open mouth and all those teeth. Like, I would have had a blast drawing that mouth. Or maybe not a blast. Maybe that mouth would have given me lots of grief. But anyway, I wanted to draw the gorilla, but you guys chose the tiger. Our tribe has spoken. They want the art nerds want the tiger. Draw the gorilla on your own time, then. Yeah, I probably will. I'll probably do it in one of my classes. So, yeah. All right. Let's see. We had 3,000 people vote for the tiger. 56%. That's over 1,500 people. Wow. That is definitely the winner. So let me show you what I was thinking. This is the tiger that I chose for today. That's an image, actually a tiger in captivity. So this is from the zoo, I believe, or one of the zoos. I can't remember which one. But I had this idea of drawing a tiger that's kind of disappearing. And so I wanted to share some of my thoughts, and obviously you can draw this tiger however you like, but I will share my materials that I'm using, and other details if you're interested. If you're interested in drawing along with me, draw digitally, traditionally, whatever you like. All right, totally up to you. So I am using pastel paper, but I will be drawing with colored pencils. Usually when you use pastel paper, there is part of the paper that's textured, and then the back of the paper has less texture. So it really depends on how much texture you want for the piece. If you like a textured look, if you like seeing the texture of the paper, you know, then obviously use the front. I will be using the back, and my hands are really dirty, so I might go and wipe them off or just give them a quick wash before I start. Kind of just wiping them all over my pants right now. All right, and in terms of what I will be drawing with, I decided on colored pencils just because I have the most control with colored pencils. And I just spent like probably half an hour sorting through this box that I haven't used for almost a year. In terms of materials, I definitely think that Prismacolors are the best. They just are the most pigmented, the most creamy, and This is a set of 132, and you don't need these many colors. Like, you really don't. I got this because it was on sale. But you can, you just need 24 colors, maybe 48 is a good one if you're serious about colored pencils. But I spent like half an hour organizing these colors, and I'm not even done yet. I just sorted them by color. So I've got my green tray, my blue tray. This is a total art nerd thing to do, right? Sorting colors, so satisfying. Mixing colors are the artist's best friend. It's true, but sometimes if you're using just like regular colored pencils or student grade, they don't mix as well. So you have to be very, very careful as you're handling all of it. Okay, let's see, my hands are continuing to wipe them on my pants. All right. I'm super excited to break out the Prismacolors. Just gonna quickly tape my paper down here and put up my reference picture just for you guys. All right. If you're gonna be drawing along with me, let me know what medium you're working in. I can hear my toddler like outside slamming the door. Alright. So unfortunately, I see a imperfection on my paper here. I think what happened was, I think you can see that, right? I must have put something on it that caused it to create a dent. So I'm gonna try to keep my drawing somewhat in the middle and kind of use this bottom half for testing colors. Lord, those are a lot of pencils. Yeah, it's true. Like, I think 132 pencils is just it's extra. You really don't need that many colors. I'm usually happy with a set of 48. 72 is great. Depends on how serious you're gonna be using. You could cut the paper. Yes, I could. I definitely could. I might trim it at the end. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. Sent my gestures in the Discord. Awesome. Can't wait to see them. Yeah. Drawing with Keeks. I gotta go. Oh no. All right. Well, don't worry. You can always watch the rest later on. All right. So when I do a colored pencil drawing, I will still do a little bit of drawing first with just a regular pencil, just to kind of sketch out what I think my shapes are going to be. And in this case, the tiger, I'm going to focus on the face of the tiger, and I like this kind of 3/4 view of him. So sometimes, like a lot of us will draw that ball and shield, for human faces, and it's kind of the same thing for animal faces. So if you do sort of start with a ball and shield, there's the ball, and draw the center line. It's kind of the same concept, except animals have a bit of like a cone in addition to that ball, right? And in this case, it's almost like a teardrop shape. So when an animal is really fuzzy and you can't really see the structure underneath, sometimes it's easier to just draw the shape rather than try to figure out those forms. So just want to make sure that the 3/4 view here is accurate, but just kind of penciling in some forms that I see. I always love the shape of the fur on the cheeks. Yeah, me too. The fuzzy, like the fuzzies on the outside of the face are going to be really fun to draw if I get there. Like I said, the tiger is a complex one because of all of the patterns. So just blocking out the eyes of the tiger. I draw them together. And like we have a video on tilts, right? Like eye tilts, and tigers, you know, they're technically Asian, so they do have that sort of diagonal tilt. A lot of animals have this diagonal tilt, and if you watch Jesse's short about Asian versus European eye shapes, like generally speaking, there's a bit of a tilt. So this corner and this corner are a little bit more on a diagonal rather than horizontal, and the tiger is the same. So when you're drawing animal eyes, it's more like a lemon shape on a diagonal versus like an almond shape, because it's slightly rounder. I don't know. I didn't know that it applies to animals too. Well, it doesn't. I'm just using it as an example. It does apply to most cats, right? Most cats, dogs as well. But like it depends. Like some dogs have very droopy eyes, like hounds, you know, have very droopy eyes, whereas like my little dog, I have a Shih Tzu. Her eyes have this type of tilt as well. So it depends. This is just an observation about this tiger. And most animals, you don't really see the whites of their eyes. You only see the iris and the pupil. If we haven't met before, Blazing Blazes KA. Did I say that right? Blazing Blazeska. My name's Fei. Hello. I am the new I'm the new streamer that does the traditional stuff. So you'll be seeing me on Saturdays, and I'm online every other week. So Jesse will be back next week, and in between it's me. Next week I'm doing painting, so I kind of do drawing and painting for the channel. And yes, founder of Wing Canvas. Thank you, Joe. All right, so well, there we go. Here's my very light sketch. I'm going to end up erasing a lot of these lines anyway when I go into the color part. But really want to get the face right and the proportions of the face. So what you can also do to check your proportions, because this is sort of my first pass, and now I'm going to be checking the face a little bit here. So I can see that my eyes are a little bit too far apart. Like if I take the length of one eye, or sorry, the width of one eye, and then look for, you know, how many eyes fit in between, I would say it's like roughly 2. So, you know, you can usually, when you're drawing faces, you can use the eye as a unit of measurement. tiger looks traumatized. I just think like when their pupils are dilated, you know, sometimes they tend to look a bit traumatized. I agree. If I made the pupils extra big, then maybe it will look a little bit cuter. But I don't think that's what I'm going for. I don't think today is gonna be cute. I think it's supposed to be a bit more realistic, a bit more serious, since the theme is endangered. You can see some of the skin like along its back, and then sort of the shoulder here, the shoulder blade is kind of etching in, so it makes the pattern on the tiger change a bit, and that the patterns are really, really good for foreshortening. So if you look at some of the patterns, you know, that are on its back, you can see that they're condensed, right? So you're really seeing that tiger going into space. All right. Quinn says, what am I painting? I don't know yet. It's going to be up to you guys in part, right? I'll be putting up a poll closer to the stream date. So I'll be streaming next on the 16th, and I will be painting an animal. Probably also an endangered animal, but I have some other animals in mind for that. Okay. So I don't think I'm going to do any more drawing because I'm going to move on to the color part. The pattern is kind of like the coiling method, but in real life. Yeah, totally. Yeah, exactly. It's like you can really see the foreshortening, right? All right. So let's move on to the color. Probably going to start with this middle part, and you know, work my way out because I want it to look like it's disappearing. So I'm not going to color all of it. I'm just going to do some of it and kind of see where it goes. So let's start off with some browns and oranges. I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad that we are doing more traditional streams, because as much as, you know, digital is super popular and you know, it's like the fastest growing and most popular medium of the decade, or the past 2 decades, I would say. It still has, digital art has so many possibilities, but it also has limitations. Like if you just draw digitally, you may not know how to mix colors, for example, right? And so mixing colors, especially with paint or with colored pencils, can be a challenge. So it's always something, like if you've never drawn traditionally, it's a good challenge to do one once in a while. It really makes you appreciate you know, how hard it can be sometimes, and how easy it is to just Control Z. All right. So when I'm mixing color with colored pencils, I will usually work in layers and start to add them together in layers. You can see some of the texture of my paper, right? If I press really hard, then that texture will disappear. But because there are so many values on this tiger, like there are parts that are really dark and then parts that are lighter, I think what I'm going to do is just start to build up my color. Bit by bit. I also, some of you guys mentioned that that you don't like all the eraser shavings. Well, get yourself a kneaded eraser, guys. This is a kneaded eraser. It's kind of dirty because I've used it too much, but it doesn't leave any shavings, which is great. And you can lighten your artwork. Like I can just, you know, do that and it'll lighten my lines and it leaves no residue, which is awesome. So it's a really, really good tool. If you don't have one, get one because you will love your kneaded eraser. It's actually spelled kneaded as in like Kneaded, as in like kneading dough. But I like to call it like the kneaded, like Needed, because I really need it when I draw. And you can also shape it, so you can shape it into a point like this. And you can, you know, get certain spots too if you want, so they're really, really handy. Gabe says, for me, it's the opposite. I draw a lot traditionally, but it's hard to get used to digital. You know what? It's just whatever you're used to, I think. The more you do it, the better you will be. I'm the same as well. Like I prefer traditional. I use digital. I've been doing digital, you know, art and illustration and such since probably the 2000s. With Photoshop 3 and, you know, the first few versions of Illustrator. And, you know, mostly like vector art and things like that. I did some graphic design as well. So I definitely appreciate all of the things that you can do with digital. But there's like no real physical original piece. Right? There's no like, you can only print it. I mean, you have the original file, I guess, but even that can be copied, and there's no like physical thing. I guess I'm still a sucker for the physical piece, the tangible physical piece. Quinn says, the hardest part about drawing is that I actually have to draw and I can't think about drawing and expect it to show up on paper. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I like digital for finalized pieces and traditional if I want to vomit out an idea. You know what? That's really true. But I will also do little sketches. But for digital, I use digital art or digital mediums to help me plan things. So for example, if I didn't like how this was going, I can put it in a digital program and just like try different things without actually having to do it in my physical drawing. So that part is a big time saver for me. I can also go in and edit the color. I can put overlays over it. I can clone it and try different things. So I really like digital for that. I think all traditional artists should learn digital art. You know, it's kind of industry standard. Like if you're an illustrator in the real world or a designer, chances are you'll be working digitally. Or maybe a combination of both. So. And same thing for digital. Like I think there's a lot of value in drawing traditionally sometimes, or at least knowing how to do so. I have a paper screen protector. How does that, like, do you like it? Does it actually feel like paper? And, you know, does it make this sound? I don't know if you can hear. Can you hear the sound of my pencil? Let me know if you can hear the sound of my pencil. I don't know if my mic's picking it up, but yeah, you never really get the physical sensation of drawing in traditional, especially because you can, you know, you can move your pencil in different ways. You can hold it in different ways so that you can get a nice edge, or you can get, you know, you can use the side of your pencil for extra color. Like, there's just so many nuances that you can't really get. But there's like a million things you can't do with traditional that you can do with digital. So, you know, there's definitely benefits to both. You can't hear the pencil? Oh, it's because there's music. I can even hear it with my headphones on, and I really like the sound of pencil on paper. Okay, so just building up my color. And I think what I'm gonna do next is draw in the eyes, because usually, like, I'll tell my students all the time, sometimes shading takes a really, really long time. Like, it just takes, it takes a lot of time. And one way you can sort of speed up your shading is if you draw in some darks, like your darkest values, and you can kind of get those in first. I find it really helps. Because then you have like a reference point for your darkest values, and it will help you figure out your values better, so you're not as scared, you know, to put those in. So let's draw in the eyes. I'm gonna make the reference picture just a little bit bigger for you guys if you're drawing along with me. Go. Okay. So once I use the black and I draw in the eyes, well, there's no going back, but I think everything else will be put into context, right? Like how light the orange is going to be very evident, and then I will need to adjust accordingly. But I think putting in your darkest dark can really help you contextualize your values. It can be like a reference point for your darkest points. And save you a lot of time, because you can shade forever, but if you don't have your darkest darks in, then there's no context, right, for how dark you really need to go. All right. Elizabeth Osborne says, I'm majoring in graphic design and going towards freelancing. What can you recommend as an alternate art software? So a really great software that we use at Wing Canvas for all our YouTube thumbnails and you know, design is Figma, and it's free. So it's kind of like, it's like Adobe Illustrator meets Google Docs. Like, it's collaborative, and it's also free. So definitely check that out. I like, when I was a graphic designer, I used Illustrator because Illustrator was industry standard, and I don't think Figma was available back then. I know some people use Canva as well, but I really like Figma. I think it's a great tool. So if you go to our blog at wingcanvas.com /blog, or you can use the search tool at the top and just search for Figma. I actually wrote a blog about Figma and how we use it and all the ways that you can use it. So you might find that really helpful. And we also have a video on best free digital software. It's a video that's really meant for teachers because I know a lot of teachers are struggling with teaching digital art. And we have some free programs on there as well. There's also GIMP. There's also like, are you looking for vector-based stuff for design, like designing logos, or are you looking for, you know, like digital painting stuff? Because the other, if you're doing digital painting, I would suggest Krita or Medibang. I used both, but I'm using Krita now because it just has so much more functions, and you can do animation with it. Medibang is very basic. It's kind of like Photoshop. Like the interface is very similar. It's very easy to learn. All right. If you guys hear screaming in the background, that's my toddler trying to break down the baby gate right now and trying to like come into my studio. He loves my wheelie chair in the studio, so he's just like, every time he comes in, he just wants to go on the wheelie chair and go through all my drawers, take out all the sharp objects and play with them. What's Medibang primarily used for? It's Medibang is used for digital illustration, and it's pretty good, like, for being free. We have a ton of Medibang tutorials on our channel, so you can definitely check those out. So I'm just putting in some reference points for the dark areas on the face of the tiger, and then use that as a reference point to completing the drawing. So how many of you guys draw with colored pencils? Like, what would you say is your medium of choice? I'm definitely curious to see what you guys prefer. And if you're drawing along digitally, how you would draw something like this, like where you would start. Because I think a digital process would be super different. Like, I don't usually with digital, like, for me, I would do more of like more of a painting approach, where I would focus on the shapes first and put in flat colors, right? You can't really build up colors like this. I mean, I suppose you could if you were just using the brushes as you would a pencil, instead of using the paint bucket and things like that. Quinn says colored pencils and markers. Yeah, I loved markers when I was learning art and as a kid. I don't use them as much anymore, but they're also very permanent, right? It's hard to go back. What type of markers are you using? Are you using alcohol markers? Geocat says, when I'm not doing digital, either graphite or a combination of alcohol markers and Prismacolor pencils. Oh yeah, that's a really nice combination. I feel like pencil crayons are also really nice if you're doing watercolor or gouache. Like you could use colored pencils or Prismacolors on top and it looks really, really nice. Ink only, yeah, ink only is really, really nice as well. Because you don't, I mean, when I do ink, it's usually black and white, so I don't really worry about color as much. And it's very refreshing just working in black and white sometimes. Okay, maybe I should color in the eyes next. I'm just gonna put in the mouth, which is like a little triangle shape. And what are you guys all doing this weekend? It's kind of a rainy day here, so I plan to stay in and catch up on some work. Mostly video stuff. We're releasing a new video on Tuesday, and so that's my weekend. Addie says painting like using the chalk tool now, went full base color, layered light, then added orange and slowly building up, because that's what I've been told and taught. Yeah, that sounds like a good process. Right. We definitely haven't done a lot of traditional streams, so you know, we did poll our viewers though, and they said that they want to see more traditional content on the channel. I'm watching the next stream. Great. Yeah, actually, it's my bad. Josh is actually streaming next week, not, sorry, tomorrow, not Iggy. Iggy is streaming next week. Josh is streaming tomorrow, and he's actually doing, I'm so sorry, I totally forgot, but Josh is doing expressions tomorrow. We just figured out our new stream schedule, and it's going to be a little bit more consistent than last year. Josh and I will be, Josh streams on Sundays and I stream on Saturdays, and we rotate. So Iggy is on Sunday with Josh, and Jesse and I are on Saturdays. Josh is doing some really cool things in his stream because he's our animator instructor, or our animation instructor, sorry. And he did this really cool character design, and he did it live with everybody's input. And then he's going to be doing a few things with that character, like, for example, showing you guys how to create expressions, animating mouths, and it's going to be really interesting to kind of see that character evolve. So yeah, Josh will be doing the submissions tomorrow, not Iggy. I apologize for the mix-up. Let's see, I've got 40 minutes left. Why did I put a tiger in the poll? No, I'm just kidding. taking a little bit longer than expected. Thanks, Quinn. I'm happy with the stripes so far. I think it's, you know, the black is really making it come together a bit more. I really have to go back in with the orange and make it much darker. But for now, just want to put in some of those dark values. And if you're drawing fur, like fuzzy stuff in the ears and stuff, sometimes it's easier to draw in the space around it, right? Like the black, that negative space. And I think animals are a really good subject if you're just learning traditional art or you want to get back into traditional art. It's great because you get to, you know, you get all of the things you would get when you're drawing humans. Like you get to unpack the structure, you get to study lighting, you get to study color, but animals are easier only because, like, even if you mess up on the proportions or the structure, it's not as obvious as when you're drawing people. Just because we're not as, like, we don't see animals as often as we do people, like maybe cats and dogs. But, you know, if there's something wrong with a person's face, you notice it right away. You're like, oh, that looks weird or that looks off. But with animals, like if I mess up on these stripes, nobody will really know. I mean, you guys can see the reference, but I'm not like obsessing over the space in between the stripes or, you know, worried so much that I didn't get the stripes in the right place, because no two tigers have the same stripes. So in that sense, I think drawing animals is a lot easier. Oh, hey, Fedua, welcome into the stream. Yeah, we're drawing a tiger today, traditional realism type of day. Something new on our channel. Thank you, N. I mean, hopefully it's getting better and better. It's just kind of getting in all of the stripes, but I'm not planning on completing the entire thing because I do want it to be disappearing a little bit. And tigers are so overdone. Like, there's just so much like tiger renderings and paintings and drawings, and it's hard to you know, do something a little bit more original because they're just so overdone. I find a lot of there's a lot of art on like power animals, you know, like the tigers, lions, rhinos, elephants. They're very popular. Wolves, you know, those power animals that people want to hang in their offices. So yeah, they tend to be kind of overdone. And so far I've only used like 3 or 4 colors. And so really, you know, I don't need this many colored pencils. Okay. I want to do the eyes, and the eyes are kind of like the same color as the tiger. And you know, I think I might want to go a little bit more green like a little bit more of an exaggerated type of color, so it doesn't look too similar to the tiger itself. Just selecting some colors for the eyes. Addie says, I like doing art, I just don't like working or doing it alone. At least around others, and with others there's less stress and it's more enjoyable. That is so true. Doing art with others, I mean, sometimes you just got to do it alone, and sometimes you know, it depends on the piece, you can get really into it and it's great. But yeah, most of the time art is always better when it's shared, right? So I'm really glad you're here and that we're drawing together. If there's a topic that you want to see, you know, definitely let us know. You can leave a comment below what else you might want to see me draw, what medium you want to see, and we will try to, we definitely listen to our audience, and you can, if you subscribe to our channel, you can also vote in the polls to help us decide what to draw next. Okay. So I do remember tigers having very vivid yellow eyes, but I am gonna sneak in some greens in there. I hop on Discord voice and hang out while I draw, but I usually get super distracted. I think the modern world is so full of distractions. It's okay. I think we've all been there. At least with this, like if you're drawing from timed references, you're super laser focused, right? Because you only have so much time. And I think that's really nice about using timed references or giving yourself like a set amount of time to finish something. Like that's why I really like plein air as well. Plein air, for those of you who are not familiar with the term, is when you actually paint from life. So, you know, I'll take my little watercolor sketch pad and go somewhere scenic, you know, and just tune into nature and draw. And that's always super relaxing. Like it's like meditation. Okay, so I do want my my tiger to be kind of concentrated in one area. Like, I mean, the color to be very concentrated, and then it kind of disappears, right? If that's the concept. So I think I'm going to focus on the nose, or the snout, being the most concentrated part. There have been really some really famous artists who've made a great living and just like done amazing work drawing wildlife, photographing wildlife, drawing wildlife. I think when I was young, I I was like, okay, I'm either gonna be an artist or a nature photographer. You know, like working for National Geographic and going to photograph like rare animals. And then I remember watching like a behind the scenes of just how tough those photographers have it. Like they have to camp out in like the jungle or in really hot places infested with bugs and wait for like months before they get a shot. And I'm like, no. Even though I have a desire for adventure, and I'm kind of a, you know, a free spirit in that sense, like I would love that type of experience, and I like camping and stuff. That's kind of a deal breaker for me. Aaron Blaze is one of my biggest inspirations for nature drawing. Yes, yes. Yeah, definitely. I mean, as an animator, I think you have to study a lot of animals. And yeah, I see his courses around all the time. They pop up in my feed. But yeah, I love his work. Robert Bateman is someone I can think of as well. His stuff is very realistic, and I really admire his patience. I don't think I'm as patient. Like although I like realism and I can do it, it's definitely a big investment in terms of time and patience. I definitely think, like, if you've never tried realism, that it's something worth trying. It's kind of like one of those things that you have under your belt. You know the concept of rendering and how to do it, right? And then you don't ever have to do it again if you don't want to. But in art school, I definitely had to learn rendering, you know, rendering with pencil, rendering with colored pencils, rendering with paint, different mediums. I think gouache is probably the hardest to render with. I don't think you're like meant to render with gouache. It's more of an illustration type of tool. But acrylics and oils are really better to render with. Same thing with watercolor. It's really hard to render with watercolor. Did any of you guys here today vote for an animal other than the tiger, or are you guys all tiger fans? I know somebody said they voted for the gorilla. Thank you. I think the turtle got some good votes as well. I think the turtle came in second. You're a tiger fan, yeah. So for the whiskers, right? It's very difficult to draw those in, and there is a trick to drawing in the whiskers, and I'll show you in a little bit when I'm kind of completing this area. And since I voted for rhino, yeah, I think in order I wanted to do the gorilla first, and then I think the turtle, and then the rhino. And the tiger was like the last thing, but I figured I'd throw in a popular animal. Okay, so you can also get blending, colored pencils as well. They're just kind of clear, but they get rid of all of these white specks, and they're really, really helpful. So I kind of like the texture, so I think I'm gonna leave it. But if you prefer more details, then you can definitely try it out. I don't tend to use blending stumps. Let me know in the chat, guys, if you rely on blending stumps.
If you're in any of my classes, you probably know I'm not a fan of blending stumps. Oh no, your basement is flooding. Oh no, that's not good. Okay, well, good luck, and I hope that gets resolved. Yikes. Bye, Quinn. Okay. I find that also when you're drawing tigers and lions and stuff, like you have to be very careful when you're drawing the eyes that it doesn't turn out looking a bit cross-eyed. That has happened to me so many times when like I'll draw an eye and then I'll draw the eye in its entirety and then I draw the other eye and it's kind of misplaced and then I look at my animal, it looks cross-eyed. That's like the worst. Or the eye is just off by a couple millimeters. Okay. So I want to get the pink of his nose in. It's this very light pink color. But I don't have the exact pink that I want. And you can kind of see it's sort of pink at the bottom and then a little beige looking. So it is something that I'll have to blend. That's the thing, like if you draw tigers, it can easily go into the kind of tacky territory. I mean, there's nothing wrong. Sometimes we need tacky drawings and it's nice sometimes. But you know what I mean? When things are just kind of overdone and you see them all the time, then the appeal kind of goes away, unfortunately. So that was my worry about the tiger, but it is a very beautiful animal, and I really hope that we will be able to save them, the species. Oh, welcome back, Quinn. I'm glad you were able to solve the problem. Flooded basements are not fun. Those are, well, flooded anything. Okay, so if you do want to get rid of some of these colors, or some of these, sorry, not colors, some of the texture, you can take a light color and do some blending. So you don't actually need a blending pencil. You can just use like a lighter version. Sometimes you can use like a white pencil as well, and it works nicely. You can kind of go in and do some blending. So some of these lighter areas here. Let's see, we've got about 20 minutes left, and I want to sort of figure out this part of the tiger, just the bottom part, and then put in some stripes here for the disappearing concept. Like it is disappearing already, but I think I want it to kind of continue down here. So let me put in some darks first and get organized. So even though I'm using this sort of monstrous set of colored pencils, I'm really not using that many colors. I've probably only used a handful of colors. Probably like 10 or 12 so far, if I had to guess. So once I have in the black, I can really see like how light those other areas are, right? So I need to press much harder to get in those oranges. And I can do the black base on top, so I don't really need to worry too much about that. So much work with just colored pencils. I've never tried that much. Well, everything is like, you know what? Colored pencils are so forgiving. They're so forgiving. You can do so much with them, and because like they take so long, right? You have to do it little by little. You're a lot less likely to mess up. And if you do, you can erase it for the most part. You know, you get a nice hard eraser, and you can definitely erase. It's a super, super forgiving medium. I love colored pencils. It was like probably my favorite drawing medium when I first started drawing. Like probably from middle school all the way to when I was in university for art. And then some of the parts that are disappearing, like the side here, what you can do if you don't want to draw in the background, like normally I would draw in a background, right? And then the background would help me define the white. But in this case, I'm not drawing a background because I want it to kind of disappear. So I'm going to use a very light, cool gray color and just put in some of the fur on the outside. Like I don't want to outline, right? Because whenever you outline, it tends to make the piece very stiff and flat, right? So instead of outlining, the trick is to really, use open lines, like lines that breathe. And instead of drawing lines, focus on shapes and values. I never really considered that, but I think it's because when I have used them, I've used them more directly in a way rather than slowly filling in like this. True, like there's a million ways you can use colored pencil. I mean, with any medium, right? And then the way I draw might be different than the way you draw, and that's totally okay. It's like art is not like math. There's lots of ways you can use different tools, and they're all valid, right? Whatever works for you. Okay, so I told you guys I would show you how I would approach the whiskers. And what you can do is, here, I'm going to take my white Prismacolor here and get it really sharp, like really, really sharp here. And what I'm going to do is just draw in the whiskers, but etch into the paper. So pressing really hard, and you can do this if you have like an etching tool, you know, like if you have a tool that, like a scoring tool, you could do it with that too. But I don't have one with me, so I'm just gonna, whoops, just broke the lead, haha. I'm just gonna draw in the whiskers, like press really hard and draw them in. So the goal is to kind of etch in the paper. Prismacolors also tend to be kind of soft, so this may or may not work. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna work because Prismacolors have a lot of pigment and they're very waxy. So I think I might have to get another tool. Let me check my sculpting supplies here to see if I actually have a tool that I can etch with. Maybe I can use the back of a brush or something. Let's see here. so I have a plastic palette knife. But it's a little bit wonky. If you etch in the paper, let's see if this works. If you etch in the paper, sometimes it will prevent the color from going in those spots, right? And then you get really nice lines without actually having to draw them. So no, it did not work because the Prismacolors were way too soft. Let me try a different colored pencil. This one is a lot harder. Improvise, adapt, overcome. Yeah. Yeah, you're watching it live, guys. This is me trying to figure out how to do this without the tools that I thought would work. All right. So because I don't have the lines etched in as much, like first of all, the paper is not super thick or soft, and I am using the back of this pastel paper, right? So there's not too much texture to etch into. Then I'm just going to resolve to draw in the negative space, and hopefully that white will help because I press so hard, it'll prevent color from going on top of it. Same thing with the ears here, right? You can see that there's a lot of darks in the negative space. So trying to recreate that is difficult. So if you can't etch, then you just have to go in and draw in those negative shapes. Sculpting supplies. I love sculpting. Oh my goodness. I know we don't really do any of that on the channel. I do sculpting sometimes in my portfolio programs with my portfolio students, because sculpture is a 3D medium that is looked upon fondly in art school portfolios. So if you've never sculpted before, it's so much fun. And sometimes sculpting will help you draw, right? Like I've had to sculpt things just so I could wrap my head around how to draw them in different angles. Yeah, during portfolio season has ended now. Good luck to our portfolio students. Hopefully you all get into the school of your dreams. They've worked very, very hard throughout the year. It's a super stressful process, right? If you've ever made a portfolio for school. But yeah, portfolios love seeing sculpture, especially sculptures of your OCs or, you know, figurative stuff is also one of those things that art schools really like. Also, if you're an architecture student, really fun. So most of my sculptures, let me see if I can find some that I've done. Most of my sculptures are like character based. I actually have a couple here. These are some sculptures that these were just like done for our summer programs, our intensives. But yeah, this was Pongo based off of my little dog who kind of looks like a squirrel. And this one is Sadie, my larger dog who actually passed away last year in the summer. But I have these little guys and they're made of Sculpey, which is a polymer clay that I love working with. Let me know if you've ever worked with Sculpey. It's like so much fun because you can make anything. It doesn't dry unless you bake it. And then you can paint it, you can sand it. It's a lot of fun. Oh, that's okay. That's the hardest part of having a pet. Thank you, Thunderwolf. Yeah, the hardest part of having a pet is when, you know, you have to say goodbye. So, unfortunately, most of us outlive our pets. And it's always tough to say goodbye. Sadie was a really, really good dog, though. Oh my goodness. And boy, did she love her walks. She got us outside. Without Sadie, I would have not gotten as much exercise or fresh air, so she was very special. Can you do a sculpting class for beginners and have recommendations on supplies beforehand? Yeah, we used to run sculpture programs as part of our intensives, and mostly for, you know, portfolio students. And we stopped doing them, but you know, you never know. If there's demand for them, we might do them again. Are you talking about on stream? Because I don't think I could do a sculpture in an hour and a half. It's definitely a longer process. Like most of the sculptures that I do take a lot more time. So if you squint at this piece, right, you'll see that there's like a lot of dark parts closer to this part. Like this part feels like it's somewhat unresolved. So we don't have too much time left, but I am going to try and just add some values to it so that it doesn't get lost. And oh, so you can see, look, some of that etching is working down here. Although the whiskers are crossed, and I didn't mean for that to happen, but you can see like it's showing up in certain places, right? Like here. Doesn't always work out well, but lesson learned, don't use Prismacolors for the etching. They're just too soft. I would recommend using a scoring tool, but if you use a scoring tool, it could also rip your paper. So just make sure the scoring tool has like a little ball on the bottom of it. I know I have one lying around somewhere, but of course I didn't remember to bring it. Have it ready during the stream. Didn't think about the whiskers. Yeah, so yeah, okay, it's working. Like, look at that, it is working. Yay. All right. So yeah, we have a couple of exciting programs coming up. March break is starting. March break in Canada, well, in Canada, some parts of Canada we call it March break. I know in the US they call it spring break. but sometimes it's in March. So we are running March break camps with Iggy, cartooning and anime, as well as digital art, mostly digital art techniques and character design. Character art is really, really popular at our school, and so much fun. So definitely check those out if you haven't already. And all of our camps, like even if you can't attend live, all of our programs can be done asynchronously. So there is a recorded learning option, which actually we just started because we realized we had a lot of viewers on our channel, students and members who don't share our time zone. So if that's you, you can now attend our programs asynchronously through the recorded learning program, and you would save 25% on the live class price, which is great. So you can watch the recordings on your own time, and then the instructors will give you live feedback. They'll give you online feedback. If you join the class live, you get live feedback, but a lot of our students like to finish their artwork afterwards, after class ends. You know, you can keep going. The beauty of learning online is you can kind of go at your own pace, and you don't have to stop as soon as the class ends, right? So if you're drawing black on white and it looks very stark, you can always add in some grays to kind of smooth that out. And give it more of a blend, more of that like realistic type of look. I love how the tiger's expression reads as I've been rumbled. It's kind of this like surprised look, isn't it? I'm really interested. I might have to try the asynchronous just because of work, but I wonder if live would be better for me. You know what? It really depends. Like the nice thing about asynchronous is that if you're the type that likes to watch videos faster, speed it up, slow it down, replay, like, you know, skip the stuff that is not really relevant and all that stuff, then asynchronous works great, right? You have a lot of flexibility. You can do the recordings on your own time. The live is nice because you get to interact more with the teachers, but hey, you're here live, right? You can attend our live streams as well. And then another way to learn is through our memberships. So you can become a member on YouTube or Patreon, and you can get a monthly class recording. So we usually post recordings once a month for our members, and you'll see recordings from all of our teachers. So Jesse, myself, Josh, and Iggy. And if you're a member, you can get critiques through our Discord, which is really nice because, you know, sometimes you don't want feedback and sometimes you're really, really stuck. And so having that option is really nice. Quinn's excited for camp. Yes, camp is so much fun. You know, art camp is really the reason why Wing Canvas exists. My art camp experience when I was 12 is the reason why this channel exists and Wing Canvas exists in the first place. My memories of art camp were some of the fondest of my entire life. It's when I really found my people, you know, you people, the nerds, the art nerds. I was able to connect. I learned so much about myself. I made so much cool stuff that I still keep to this day. And yeah, I hope that you will also really enjoy our camps and meet cool people online that you will connect with for a long time. But yeah, definitely check out our Patreon. It's another way to learn. Like if you're busy, and a lot of us are, it seems like the more tools we have to save us time, the less time we have. Isn't that ironic? It's like the more stuff that's out there that saves us time, the less time we feel we actually have. And it's so true. But yeah, sorry guys about the ads. We will definitely figure out how to turn them off for the next ones. So strange because that didn't happen to our other streams, so it must be a setting somewhere that was put on by mistake, or maybe automatically done. But can you skip them at least? To be fair, they aren't actually an actual class format, but I know someone fall into the watch YouTube tutorial but don't draw anything. That's true. Like our classes are different than the streams because they're definitely more personalized and they're project based, right? But you know, a lot of our students will do their own thing. You don't always have to do the projects, and a lot of them are also very open. So, you know, especially the character design projects, or even with the drawing classes, like you can choose your own subjects. And with mentorship, you really get to, there's no sort of set curriculum, but you get to tell the instructor what you'd like and request demos. So that's also really helpful if you know exactly what you want to learn. All right. So I didn't finish this piece, but it's like, you know, it's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with how much I was able to get done in an hour and a half. But thank you so much, guys, for joining me live, and I hope to see you in 2 weeks where we will be painting an animal together. I definitely paint much faster and in a much more different style than with drawing, so you know, that's going to be a lot of fun. And the cheek fur looks super fluffy. Thank you. What didn't you finish? Oh, you know, the whiskers. Like you can actually see some of the whiskers, but it doesn't show up really well on camera, so I might make some of them a little bit darker. I did want the tiger to disappear, and I had some ideas on making some of these stripes down here, but I'm actually pretty happy with how it turned out with the time that we have. So thank you so much. Thanks so much, guys. Thank you for joining the stream, and hopefully we will see you tomorrow with Josh. Josh will be streaming the topic he will be doing? Expressions, animating expressions. Definitely vote for which expression you want to see him do, and I will see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye!